So what does this mean for us in Montessori education? Luckily, we have been explicitly trained in how to respond to the needs of individual learners. So this research about the sort of ineffectiveness of homework in a lot of ways doesn't have the same impact on what we do in Montessori because of our approach to individual learners. In general, we who work in a Montessori elementary environment can feel reassured by this research because a lot of what research says is good about homework or can be effective are things that we do in our classrooms on a daily basis. So homework has been shown to have no impact on student achievement, and perhaps a negative one. But one thing that has been shown to really positively impact student achievement on standardized tests in the elementary years is in-class study. So that means when they are working in class to solidify a skill or solidify some knowledge, working with their peers and with their teacher, that has been shown to have a very positive impact on student achievement. And guess what? In a Montessori elementary environment, all of that's happening all the time. The whole class is never doing the same thing at the same time. Children have the time they need to work with a concept until they have achieved understanding and mastery of that concept. So it isn't that the curriculum is going to move on whether or not you've gained the knowledge, as it is in most mainstream environments. In a Montessori environment, children can stick with something to continue to practice it until they understand it. And that's happening in the classrooms, setting all the time as different groups of children are working on different things throughout the school day. So this in-class study that will support achievement is really, part and parcel of what we do every day in a Montessori elementary environment. Now, of course, we want children to continue to learn throughout the school day, but we know that children are programmed to learn all the time, that they are self-constructing every day, every moment of the day, whether or not we are explicitly trying to make them learn something. So we make sure that there's lots of opportunity during the school day for them to learn and build themselves further. And we have an environment prepared to do that and that's able to respond to their individual needs and interests. And then outside of the school day, we really encourage the children to continue that interest in that learning and encourage parents to support that. We create a very learner-centered environment in a Montessori classroom where children spend most of their day deeply engaged in things that they're interested in and that they need to learn. So there isn't the same need to assign something outside of the school day for children to do so that they can see that learning will continue. But we can work with children if they're interested in keeping up that research at the end of the day or learning something more at home. We can support children individually and finding just the right activity that's going to help them with that. And we'll talk more in the next video about all sorts of the things that Montessori children could be doing at home for homework. The self-regulation skills that we're hoping children learn in a non-Montessori environment through homework is actually what children learn and practice every day throughout the school day in a Montessori classroom. So they're given the freedom to choose their work. They're given the responsibility to track that work and manage their time effectively. And all of that helps to build their self-discipline and their ability to regulate themselves. Oh, I really want to do long multiplication on the checkerboard right now, but somebody else is using it. I have to regulate myself, wait until that material is available, and choose something else to do right now. That's self-regulation skills that are built into the culture of every day in a Montessori classroom. Children are tracking their work in their work journals. They're keeping track of how much time they spend on things, and they meet with the teacher individually each week to sort of reflect on what they've done during the week. And that's an opportunity for children to, evaluate and reflect on their work choices, the amount of time they spent on a work, and to really get to know themselves as workers and as learners. Oh yeah, I spent 2 hours on the checkerboard, but I only did one problem because we were goofing off. Or I spent 2 hours on the checkerboard, we only did one problem because it was massive. These are the things that the guide then helps the children start to understand about themselves and help them to be responsible for themselves and their own work choices. So those self-regulation skills are being practiced every day, all day long in a Montessori elementary classroom. We don't need to send homework home to make that happen. It's happening all the time. And that's one of the, sort of the biggest gifts we give to children in a Montessori elementary environment is the ability to develop that self-regulation. Now, that goal of connecting parents to the school and to the work at school is something we have to think about carefully as Montessori practitioners. A lot of the work that happens in a Montessori environment does not have a paper product. So we're not sending paper home, their classwork home at nearly the levels other schools do. So parents don't see even classroom assignments, much less homework assignments, as often as some of their peers will see in a mainstream environment. So we have to be sure that we are really connecting with parents to help them understand what's happening throughout the school day in the classroom, because just sending home worksheets is not going to help them understand. So we can, even if we were to make something like that up, it's not going to give them a clear glimpse of what's going on in the classroom. So Montessori teachers have to be really thoughtful about how they communicate to parents what's happening in the classroom and how they help parents understand how their children are spending the day and what they're learning. Homework's not going to accomplish that, but a clear communication strategy will help with that. We also can give parents really clear ideas of things they can do at home that are going to help them see what their children are learning and help the children display all the skills that they're acquiring in the activities they take part in at home. And so we'll talk more about that in the next video. Those goals of homework are admirable ones. Of course, we want children to have higher achievement and continue learning throughout the day and learn to self-regulate and build relationships with parents. All of those things we want to have happen, but homework isn't actually the most effective mechanism for accomplishing those goals. So we just have to, in a Montessori elementary classroom, really be sure that we're doing all those other things that we know to be the right things to do for children in a Montessori approach. Just doing all those things is going to actually help us accomplish those goals. Homework is not necessary.